Welcome to the 5 secret brain cravings every marketer, every salesperson, every business needs to know.
We'll give you neuroscience insights to prime your customer's brain to buy. I'm Dietrich Demery, and I'm an emotional intelligence leadership coach, author, and researcher. I specialize in the neuroscience made practical in emotional intelligence. My company is Emotional Wealth Management Incorporated. And my co-presenter today is Roger Grant. Roger is a corporate storyteller and branding consultant with Identicore Marketing.
One of the most important assignments in all of marketing, in all of sales, and all of business is to find out what your customer wants, what they desire, what they're craving. And if you sat down with a customer today and asked them, what are you craving? What kind of response would you get? We would probably end up with a very long list, maybe 50 or 100 or 500 cravings. They may tell you they're craving a return to business as normal, for the economy to come back to full steam. They're craving stability. They want to see their colleagues and clients face to face. And all of the pre-pandemic cravings would still be there too. Cravings for quality, reliability, and no-hassle customer experience, low price, on-time delivery, prestige, peace of mind, comfort. The list goes on and on. If you were in the ice cream business and took it upon yourself to fulfill such an enormous list of cravings, what would you end up serving the customer? You wouldn't come back with a single cone. You'd have to serve a huge variety of ice cream, just as long as the list of cravings. So at the cognitive level, there is a long list of cravings. Lurking just below that conscious level, there's another set of customer cravings. They're brain cravings. What is your customer's brain craving? Fortunately, it's a much smaller list. It's not 50 or 100 or 500. It's just 5. The brain is only scanning for 5 things, so it's a much easier order to fill. To satisfy your customer's secret brain cravings, there are just 5 categories to attend to. Now, that, of course, is very good news for marketers because it's a lot easier to focus on 5 than 500. Of course, you need to know what the 5 cravings are and how to address them. And what are the secret brain cravings like? They're like the jet stream we see on the Weather Channel on TV. We don't experience the jet stream directly, but we do experience what it causes, the weather systems it propels across the globe. The same is true of brain cravings. We experience them through what they cause, the customer attitudes and perceptions they prompt. Brain cravings and the jet stream are also similar because they're both invisible and need investigation to be understood. It wasn't until we had the technology to detect and measure the jet stream that we started to see its influence. The same is true of brain cravings. It's only recently that the tools and technology have become available to detect and measure brain function.
And neuroscience is a burgeoning area of research right now. With tools like functional MRIs and other sensor technology, we're getting an amazing picture of how our brains work. So today, we'll provide you with a simple and powerful series of ideas that are drawn from neuroscience research conducted at some of the world's most prestigious universities, including Harvard, Yale, and Stanford. So we hope that our session today will be a first step to help you align your marketing with neuroscience discoveries.
And when you implement them, these neuroscience insights will help relieve some of the frustration you may be feeling now. Frustration over how long it takes for customers to pay attention and genuinely engage with your brand. You'll be able to identify and eliminate any brain roadblocks that are in your marketing now. So instead of leading potential customers on needless detours, you'll lead them on the path to buy.
And you'll enjoy some powerful advantages like accelerating your sales cycle and connecting with customers like never before.
And we'll also introduce you to each of the 5 secret brain cravings. And we're including a bonus secret as well. That's the EQ triangle. And that gives you a framework for making your marketing emotionally intelligent. And today's session is actually a preview of a 2-hour training session we're doing a week from today on September the 30th. More details later. And it's also the first presentation in the 5-session online series, Leading Customers to Buy. But there's probably two questions on your mind right now that we'd like to address. Like, what are the five secrets about, and how do they impact my marketing? So, Dietrich, what are the five secrets all about?
Well, what neuroscience researchers have discovered is that there are five factors that are always on our minds and our customers' minds. We call these factors the five secret brain cravings. Our brains continually and automatically scan for and evaluate these five factors in all our interactions with friends and family, interactions with business colleagues, and interactions with brands, both consumer brands and brands in the business to business world. As the five circles suggest, these factors overlap. Brain impressions gained in one circle influence perceptions in the others. And just as our brains instruct our lungs to keep breathing without conscious thought, our brains scan for these five secret factors without conscious thought. You can't turn off this scanning and evaluating, although it's not something we're cognitively aware of. It is extremely influential in our perceptions and experience of life. It is continually at work in the subconscious now.
And how do these five secrets impact our marketing? How are they relevant to reaching out to customers? Well, every time the brain scans for the five factors, subconscious impressions are made. And these impressions feed and inform the customer's intuition, their comfort level, their confidence, their willingness to buy. And to make the best connection with customers and build the strongest brand, every marketer needs to pay attention to the five secret brain cravings, because your customers use these five secrets as a list and use it as a list to evaluate your brand in the subconscious now, which means the list is hidden from them and hidden from us, making it a secret list.
So what's it like to try and cater to a secret list? Well, if you don't know what's on the list, it's like meandering around blindfolded.
Or maybe it's like being back in school. Do you remember your school or college days and the teacher or professor surprises you with a test or a snap quiz and you have no idea what you're being graded on? That's what it's like.
So today we're going to put the five secrets in the spotlight so you can move from I don't know what I don't know to I'm glad I'm learning this. This could be the change I've been looking for. The five secrets apply across a broad landscape of life. So in addition to our focus on marketing today, I hope that you'll find and embrace these ideas and use them as a tool for your own personal growth, because emotionally intelligent marketing is created by emotionally intelligent marketers.
And to help you take advantage of the five secrets, we'll discuss strategic implications and provide marketing insights for each of the five secrets. And we're going to give you some steps. I think you'll find the steps very helpful. And to get the full benefit, look at them being more than just a checklist of activities, but the five secrets being like a musical score and an invitation to dance and improvise. So let's jump right in and explore the bonus secret. Dietrich, what is the EQ triangle all about?
The EQ, or emotional quotient triangle, is a tool I created to help you understand the essence of emotional intelligence and use it in real life. It boils down to a vast, intangible topic, emotional intelligence, to just three words. And these three words define the sides of EQ triangle. The first word is motivation. The second word is understanding. And the final word is collaboration. Motivation, understanding, and collaboration. Now, here's how they connect. When we have a sense of what someone is motivated by, and they sense that we get them, their sense of being understood heightens in the brain, and their attentiveness and their engagement with us begins to synchronize, and that creates a collaboration. And it's from that space that you can move forward quickly in leading people to where they need to go because they trust you.
And I think the amazing power and potential of the EQ triangle comes to light when we consider things from the customer's perspective. So if in your marketing and in your product design, if you follow the wisdom of the EQ triangle, you'll create some outstanding customer experiences and relationships. And in your own experience, hopefully you've got many, many experiences that you've had as a customer where the principles of the EQ triangle have been followed. And I'd like to give you an example of one of mine. And it ties into one of my favorite things in the whole world. One of the things that I just love to do is to spend time in the Canadian Rockies, places like Moraine Lake and Lake O'Hara and majestic Lake Louise. So for years, I was a day hiker. I'd get in the car in the morning and go out for a hiking trip and then come back. And then some friends invited me to go on a backcountry camping trip. And I was immediately hooked to be able to take a look at this kind of mountain scenery from the start of the day to the end of the day was something that I was just enthralled by. So I was all in. And so I had to get my own gear, had to get my own tent, but I didn't know anything at all about backcountry equipment. Now, you see, because, I had a tent as a kid. It was this green canvas thing. It smelled funny. It had two straight poles and ropes to hold it up. It was good for the backyard, but it was bulky. It weighed a ton. It was kind of saggy, and it didn't keep the bad weather out. Like if it was raining on the outside, before long it would be raining on the inside. So I knew I needed to learn what a backcountry tent should be all about. So I dove into research and into a tent shopping mission. And that was when I was introduced to an amazing tent made by an amazing company, Sierra Design. So in creating their tents, they had followed the first two steps of the EQ triangle. So they knew what motivated their customers. That was a quest to enjoy the backcountry with as few hassles as possible. And they also understood the demands of the environment. Their customers were going to hike for miles, carry all their gear on their backs, set up camp in a remote and rugged location, and then they'd have to be ready to face severe mountain storms. So with that perspective on motivation and understanding, Sierra Designs created this, the coolest and most intriguing tent that I had ever seen. Now, this tent was years ahead of its time, and it was unlike anything else on the market. And it also wasn't anything like my green pup tent. It wasn't even tent-shaped. And where did it come from? It came from knowing what customers' motivations were and understanding their needs. And it was made out of this strong, lightweight, easy to compact fabric that made it easy to carry, and had these curving aluminum poles that went all around the tent that made it freestanding. So you could pitch it anywhere, like even on a rock slab with no soft soil around for putting tent stakes into. And then the curving poles, they gave it this neat dome shape and an amazing amount of room inside. So you could sit up and enjoy it as a living space. You could read your hiking guide. You could be playing cards if the weather got bad, or you could just stay out of sight in case a grizzly bear wandered through the campground, which did happen. And then there was this fly. That's the rain cover that went over top of the tent. So those curvy poles that I talked about, well, that made sure there was no way in the world that fly would ever come into contact with the tent fabric and wick in the moisture. And that fly was pretty much bulletproof against, the most ferocious mountain storms. So as I, discovered the genius of the tent design, I had this deep inside sense that the company, Sierra Designs, had figured out what I wanted. They knew my motivations, and they also understood what was important to me. So with motivation and understanding in place, the third piece of the EQ triangle, collaboration, naturally followed. So even though this amazing tent was far more expensive than all the other tents on the market, and there is thrifty Scottish blood inside of me, I decided this was a tent that I had to buy. And I chose to collaborate with Sierra Designs. And in every camping trip since then, without exception, I've been just thoroughly delighted that I did spend that money and collaborated with Sierra Designs. And so still to this day, I appreciate the intelligence of the design, the quality of the product. And so as a result, I have intense loyalty to Sierra Designs. So years later, when I went looking for a new, bigger tent, for family camping trips, not everybody fit in the original one. I didn't go to the store and ask for a 4-man backcountry tent. I went and I asked for, what 4-man tents do you have from Sierra Designs? So once customers perceive that a brand knows what motivates them and understands them, collaboration, buying naturally follows. And customers will want to collaborate with you and no one else. So Dietrich, that's the marketing angle on the bonus secret. What's the first secret brain craving?
The first secret is trustworthiness. The reason it's the first secret is because we start looking for it even before we're born. Our lives start as a quest for trust and connection. And once we build a bond of trust, the big outside world actually becomes a safe place for us. And our eyes, our face, our personality light up just like this baby. Now our needs change and we become far less vulnerable as we grow older. The quest for trustworthiness continues for the rest of our lives. In the adult brain, there's a constant scanning for trustworthiness. Is this person, is this company, is this brand trustworthy? Trust is the currency of every interaction, and it is so valuable in every relationship. There's a surprising paradox about trust, however. You can't go after it directly. Trust is actually a byproduct. Trying to go directly after trust invariably will backfire. Imagine you're shopping for a car. You stroll onto a used car lot and there's a salesperson, and very early in the conversation, the salesperson says, "Trust me." Are you going to actually trust that salesperson that you've just met? Probably not. So what we probably all found out in our own experiences is that trust cannot be forced. Trust cannot be commanded or coerced, but it can be cultivated. We can sow seeds into our relationships. We can take steps that lead to an abundant harvest of trust with our customers. Now, there are a number of factors that help trust to take root. Neuroscience has shown that one factor more than any other accelerates and facilitates the growth of trust. Most of all, trust is a byproduct of one concept. A 9-letter word is the most important seed to build trustworthiness. Can you guess what that 9-letter word is?
Dietrich, I don't think people are likely to pull a 9-letter word out of the air. So how about we go visit Vanna and at least buy some vowels? So for vowels, we picked up a pair of V's and a pair of I's. Can you guess now? What is this 9-letter word that is the most important factor in cultivating trust?
Well, in case you haven't gotten it yet, let me give it to you. Trustworthiness is a byproduct of receiving. Trust starts to grow when people receive who you are. And once they start receiving you, then they're ready to explore the value that you can bring. So how do you know if someone is receiving you? Mainly through visual and often subtle nonverbal communication. It's kind of like the prospect of petting a strange dog. With some dogs, through subtle visual nonverbal communication, you're pretty confident they'll receive you. Others, you're not too sure about. And then there are some dogs that are more likely to bite your arm off than receive affectionate touch. There's a similar dynamic at work in our human relationships. Even with these photos out of focus, you're still likely picking up on some visual clues of how receiving the other person is. That's what's happening with the other person as well. And how about you? Is there anything you can do to make it more likely for the other people to receive you? Well, fortunately, the answer is yes. one of the most important steps for you to take is to set the right intention. So in an interaction with someone, where do you want the conversation to go? What path do you want it to take? What's your goal? If you come from a place of helpfulness and being of service, your chances of being received improve dramatically. On the other hand, if your real intention, your true motivation is to sell someone something or push an agenda, it will get sniffed out. Even if on the outside of the conversation, it might seem like it's going well, on the inside, the other person won't receive and trust you because it won't take root.
What's another thing from a marketing perspective that we can think about in cultivating trustworthiness? Well, receiving, that Dietrich mentioned, is so key. Where it starts with is from genuine giving. So having the proper motivation and the motivation to serve rather than to sell is the beginning point for receiving to happen. So one of the most effective steps that you can take is to help solve a really pressing problem that your customers have. So you can do that proactively. So you can write an article on your website. You can create a video that shares your expertise and solves a customer's problem. And now there's lots of opportunity here. There's no shortage of customer problems. Just pick one where you can quickly add value. So a question for you to think about is, what do you have to give that the customer will want to receive? So be generous, give freely, trust will follow. So secret number one is trustworthiness. Dietrich, introduce us please to secret two.
Secret number two is competency. Our brains are always looking for competency. The potter's wheel is a great example. If you see someone at the wheel, you know right away whether they know how to create a beautifully shaped vase or if they're still trying to figure things out. The brain is constantly scanning for competency. From the moment we first meet someone, those crucial first impressions and in the deeper insights that we gather as we get to know people or brands and interact with them over time, we need to display and project competency on an ongoing basis as a pattern of thought and behavior. Now, keep in mind, though, that being too forceful or self-serving in proclaiming your competency can backfire. There's nuance and play here.
So in marketing, this means it's best to show more and tell less as you present your competency. So avoid that common trap of too much too soon. So where do we see too much too soon? Well, far too many companies, they try to blast their customers with a competency message. We're so great. Like as soon as a prospect lands on their website. So that's too much too soon. So when is the best time to proclaim your competency to state your value? Well, let's consider that in the context of your brand story. So in the brand story session in our online training series, we present a powerful 6-part story structure. You see it kind of outlined on screen right now. So we teach you how to take advantage of a proven story formula that's used by the world's best novelists, playwrights, and screenwriters. So in the brand story structure, what step has you present your value? Well, the fire hose companies think it should be step one. First thing that you should do when you meet a customer, or the first message they should present to a website visitor, is stating competency. That may be what we want to say, but it's not what the customer wants or needs to hear right out of the gate. So presenting that competency message too early actually robs it of the real attention that it deserves because your customers aren't ready to receive it yet. It's far more effective to be patient, set the scene first, and wait until step 4. Yes, step 4, before you give the competency message. Now, I realize this is counterintuitive to stay quiet that long, but patience makes your competency far more powerful. And we explain the rationale and all the content that you need to put into your brand story in that training session. So our first two secrets are trustworthiness and competency. Dietrich, for me, number 3 was the most surprising of the secrets. When you first introduced it to me, not only did it not seem to be a fit, it actually seemed to be the opposite of what customers are looking for.
Secret number 3 is a bit of a surprise. If there's too much, it drives customers away, and too little drives customers away as well. So what is secret number 3? Secret number 3 is aggressiveness. The neuroscience research shows our brains are always looking for and evaluating aggressiveness. My best lesson in aggressiveness came in the ring when I was training as an amateur boxer. Now, the goal in amateur boxing is not to knock your opponent's head off. It's to learn how to handle yourself, grow stronger, show what you're capable of, and protect yourself while competing against a similar-sized opponent. A great boxing match or a great basketball game or a great chess match is where you have this balanced interplay of aggressiveness between opponents. In the boxing ring, if you don't have enough aggressiveness, your opponent will walk all over you. I didn't have that problem. I actually had the opposite problem, too much aggression. My coach, Harry, told me, Dietrich, you are a natural-born fighter, but you come out swinging too hard, too fast, and too soon. Unless you learn how to tone down, you won't be able to go the distance. I've learned an important lesson here about aggressiveness. It's all about balance. Balance is vital, just as it is for a tightrope walker. If you learn how to actively manage your aggressiveness, find the right balance between too little and too much, you'll have more success and satisfaction in life, in conversations, and in relationships.
Dietrich, you mentioned that low aggressiveness is dangerous in the boxing ring. It's also dangerous for brands. Do you remember the first time we talked about aggressiveness in a webinar? In the feedback we got from a participant who is the author of the series of fiction books?
I sure do. The author told us about one of the main characters that for some nebulous reason that he couldn't quite identify didn't seem to have a future in the book series. He just wasn't interesting enough to devote any more pages to. So the character was killed off. And when we talked about the importance of aggressiveness, the hidden reason became clear to him, and his brain instantly figured it out. The author said, now I know the reason. It all makes sense now. The character just wasn't aggressive enough.
And low aggressiveness is dangerous. And if you're a fictional character, potentially fatal. Other aggressiveness concepts we explore in the 2-hour training session are the 3 layers of aggressiveness. So tone, purpose, and activity. So a spa needs to have a far less aggressive tone than a boot camp in its marketing message. It needs, however, to be just as aggressive in its purpose and also its activity. In the training, we'll also consider how aggressive your brand is. And where should you set the aggressiveness dial for your brand? Should your aggressiveness stay the same? Actually, it's a bad strategy to set it and forget it. So static aggressiveness makes a brand monotonous. Instead, there are times when it should be dialed up and sometimes when it should be dialed back. And we'll explain when it needs to be higher and when it needs to be lower in your sales and marketing cycle. Trustworthy, competitiveness, and aggressiveness are the first 3 secrets. Dietrich, what comes next?
After surprising secret number 3, the 4th secret is a bit more expected. Secret number 4 is attractiveness, the ability to draw others to us. A large percentage of our brain's processing capacity is dedicated to visual signals and clues. So attractiveness is a highly visual perception. Sometimes when we think of attractiveness, our minds go to the world of the uber attractive. The supermodels and ultra beautiful people who are so attractive that they can be intimidating. Now, fortunately for us, mere mortals, attractiveness entails much more than high cheekbones and perfectly proportioned body dimensions. Our brains take in attractiveness signals long before we can even see another person's face. So much gets communicated through our stance and our energy. Take a look at these silhouettes. In an instant, with only an outline, your brain is making a lot of decisions about the person, their gender, their age. Are they friendly? Are they warm? Are they attractive? Are they safe? And once we get beyond straight visual perceptions, so much of our attractive perceptions involve attitude. Does the person have a positive outlook on life? Are they maybe too positive or perhaps too pessimistic? Are they grateful? Do they feel entitled? Deeper perceptions of attractiveness come from attitude.
And our brain's wiring to instantly assess isn't just limited to people. So here's a product design example. Now, I was interested in the updated body style of this SUV. And so my impressions were, hey, they're moving away from that sleek aerodynamic shape of the front grille that they had on the older model, and they're going for a beefier look. That was my view. My son saw the same picture. And when he looked at it, he had a very different interpretation. So his immediate comment to me was, Dad, this car looks angry. So Dietrich, from a neuroscience point of view, what was going on there?
What happened there is quite fascinating. One of the hardwired fears in the brain that many people don't realize is fear of angry faces. So in these early developmental stages, children are scanning for the angry faces and learning how to respond to it. And implicitly, that's what this car communicated.
And so we need to keep this in mind for our marketing world, is that everything starts at an instant visual level, because those visual impressions are instant, they are automatic, and they can't be ignored. We do have that saying, we know we're not supposed to judge books by their covers, but the reality is we all do, and we do it all the time. We're wired to make that instant assessment based on what we see. So first glances matter, and every glance after that matters as well. So it matters what customers see first. It matters what customers see most. So logos matter. Your logo matters. And your most repeated marketing messages, names matter. So your company name, your product names, your technology names, they all matter. Your website matters. Every photo, every image, every graphic matters. Design matters. People like beautiful colors and shapes. And your taglines matter. The right tagline that will get repeated thousands and thousands and possibly millions and millions of times, they have an incredible impact, and they can burn their way into memories and propel your marketing for decades. So the Just Do It tagline at the bottom of the screen, that is how propel Nike's brand forward for more than 30 years. And headlines matter. Those few words that you put at the top of a web page, or the words you put in your email subject line, they have a big influence on whether the person seeing that is going to read more or not. And in our day of split-second attention spans, it is vital that you know how to craft a clear story in a few words. And so that's the skill that we focus on in session 4 of the online training series, how to get your message into the mind. And in that session, we'll reveal the strategies, tricks, and the secret sauce that we've been brewing throughout our whole careers to create messages that grab customer attention and become messages that they'll remember for years to come. And speaking of 4, we now have 4 secrets: trustworthiness, competency, aggressiveness, and attractiveness. Dietrich, what's the 5th and final secret?
Secret 5 is likability. Our brains continually scan for the people we meet and the brands we encounter for likability. Likability comes in a variety of flavors. and different flavors will appeal to different people or in different contexts. In fine dining restaurants, the chef pays keen attention to how different tastes of food and wine are complementing to each other. Not all flavors go well together. It depends on the context of the entire meal. The same is true with the flavors of our likability. The flavor that has great appeal in one setting may not be as fitting in another. What are some of the flavors of likability? Well, likability can be cute. Likability can be enjoyable and engaging. And likability can be amiable and fascinating, which can lead you to wanting to learn another person's story. Too much cuteness, though, doesn't usually play very well in a business context. In a business setting, people who are good to work with score high on likability. Likability can come from diving deep into the details of a project or being a sounding board for ideas or a trusted source of insight when you're wrestling with a tough issue. Our brains scan for likability based on the context that we're in the moment. So in marketing, it's important to focus on the root of likability. Likability starts with like.
So the easiest people in the world to like are people who are like us, people who dress like us. Maybe they drive the same kind of car that we drive, or they have enjoy similar activities, hold similar values. So for your brand to be likable, it makes a lot of sense for it to be like the people you want to serve. But don't take it too far. So exactly alike, that's too alike. So be alike, but not too alike. So if you're struggling in the water and about to go down for the third time, at that moment, you are not looking for another person who is just like you, someone on the verge of drowning. What you're looking for is a lifeguard racing out to your rescue. So for likability, it's best to think complement rather than duplicate. So there you have the 5 secret brain cravings: trustworthiness, competency, aggressiveness, attractiveness, and likability. Now, Dietrich, in the introduction, you mentioned that these 5 characteristics overlap. Now, can you give us an example of how these cravings do interact and intersect with each other?
Certainly, this is a personal example from one of my clients. Keep in mind the same principles apply to brands. My client is a very likable and very capable business person. People immediately warm up to her. Likability is her greatest strength. Where she runs into trouble is in intense business meetings. She enters the meeting as her natural likable self. However, her aggressiveness level is low. So in that environment, the low aggressiveness signals stirs some discomfort in the high-powered context of the people that she's interacting with. They don't see the aggressive part of her that they're expecting. So they then begin to doubt her competency. This is not an accurate assessment because my client is extremely competent. However, the interplay of high likability and low aggressiveness leads to a compromised competency perception. So in working with my client, I helped activate the parts of her brain where aggressiveness naturally resides so she can have greater balance and ensure that her high likability doesn't undermine her competency. With the 5 secrets, everything is connected. In our 2-hour training, we'll be able to go into more detail. I hope that gives you a sense of how the 5 secrets interact with each other. The same principles apply to brand persona as individual persona.
If you'd like to dive deeper into this, we will have a 2-hour online training session that takes place a week from today, September the 30th. And so in this training, Dietrich and I are going to dive deep into the ideas that we discussed today and have the opportunity for interaction and examples. And so you'll have 2 hours of in-depth study, and we'll cover the EQ triangle and emotionally intelligent marketing, the secret brain cravings, and strategic marketing insights on each of the secrets. If we were delivering this person, if we were getting together in person to a hotel ballroom, the cost of that would be $250 per person. And if you go on the event webpage, the standard rate is $129. But because you've invested the time to be with us in this preview webinar today, and because this is the launch, we want to offer you a very special launch price of just $69. Now, this is a hidden ticket type. So when you go to the registration page, you'll need to enter the promo code launch, so LAUNCH in all caps, and then the launch ticket price, launch ticket and the special price will appear.
Your registration for the online training session includes the digital course workbook. In addition to giving you a summary of the content, the workbook also includes insightful questions to help you apply the ideas to your business. There are evaluation questions, so you can get a sense of how are we doing now? Exploration questions, so you can consider how do we need to grow? And action questions, what do we need to do now?
And your registration also includes a video replay of the 2-hour training. So if your schedule doesn't allow you to participate in the training live, you'll still be able to watch it, go back and take a look at it whenever it's convenient for you. And you can even share the learning time with other people on your team. Now, just make sure you follow the appropriate COVID pandemic wardrobe protocols.
You can register for the 2-hour training now by going to brandhow.com. Remember to use the promo code LAUNCH to get to one of the $69 launch tickets. And they're only available until Tuesday.
And watch for an email over the next couple of weeks. We'll send you information on the leading customers to buy training series. And so in addition to the 5 secret brain cravings, there will also be sessions on Head Smart and Heart Smart marketing, how to craft a compelling brand story, how to get your message into the mind, and the emotional path to buy. So thank you very much for attending our webinar today.
We appreciate you devoting your time and attention to these concepts and hope they'll be the first step in aligning your marketing with neuroscience discoveries.
And here's our contact information. You can also contact us from the email address and the messages you received from Eventbrite.
And remember to register for the 2-hour training at brandhow.com.
Thank you so much for joining us for the 5 secret brain cravings that every marketer, every salesperson, and every business needs to know. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the 30th. And you can register for that 2-hour training right now at brandhow.com. Thanks again for joining us.